Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Okay, this is a point that about Cindy. So Cindy supposedly told Sherilyn that she didn't know Chris was going to talk about the crime in the book, and was upset when she found out about the book having details about the crime. But right in the book, if Sherilyn is telling the truth, it says Cindy told her that Chris wanted to write a book. Okay, so Cindy told Sherilyn that Chris did want to write a book with Sherilyn about his story and the things that he has not told until now. Cindy told her that she begged Chris to fill in the missing pieces for her, and that Chris told Cindy that when she reads the book she will understand. So to me, you can't get much clearer than that. I mean, obviously that he wants to include details about the crime and the things no one knows. So that to me is saying that she knew that he was going to include details of the crime and share things that no one knows. So why, I don't understand why Cindy's saying that she didn't know it was going to be about the crime, when at least that's what Sherilyn's saying. She's saying that Cindy told her that Chris did want to write a book about his story and the things that he has not told until now. And then Cindy begs Chris to make sure that he does fill in the missing pieces for her. And then he tells her, when you read the book, you'll understand. So how, I don't understand. To me, that's pretty clear that he's going to share the details of the crime, that all the little pieces that, he hasn't told his mom yet. He says, he tells her, when you read it, you'll understand. Like, I don't understand. I mean, to me, that's very clear that this book was going to be about what happened. So I don't know. I'm a little confused about that part. Because I don't know, I'm confused why Cindy said she didn't realize it was going to be about the crime, when Sherilyn's saying that, Cindy said this stuff about how she did want, or that Chris did want to write a book and tell his story, tell her things that he didn't tell anybody, and also that, she tells her how she begged Chris to fill in all the missing pieces, which to me is pretty... to me, I mean, missing pieces, wouldn't that mean, like, about the crime, all the things that happened that no one knows? That's what it sounds like to me. So, and that he tells her, he tells his mom, okay, well, when you read the book, you'll understand. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just sounds like that she would have known that it was going to be about that then, but I could be wrong. And then it talks about how poor Chris has so much stress walking through the area called the Hole while the unit is on lockdown to be able to go to the visitor area. So they have to put the whole unit on lockdown, and when he walks through this area, it's called the Hole, and it's just so stressful for him. So stressful. Wow. Can you imagine if that was Chris in his daughter's place? How stressful would that be then? You'd be a little baby. You wouldn't even be able to handle it. Poor Chris. Oh, I feel so bad for you. Wow. But do you see how it's all about him? It's all poor me and the pain I went through, and I had to do this, and me. It's just so me-based, I feel like. And the more I learn about him, the more I see it. It's all about him. So what I don't understand is, we watch those videos of, him and Shanann and everybody. Well, I guess he's pretty quiet. He doesn't say much. Because I'm thinking, like, if he was been like this, which obviously he has been like this his whole life. This isn't just something that, all of a sudden he's a narcissist or he's all about himself, but what I'm thinking is maybe he kept everything to himself. Just like coming up, I'm going to be talking about how when him and Shanann were arguing, how he basically would keep, I'll talk about it more in detail, I just want to mention it real quick. He would basically keep to himself, or he would, okay, they're arguing and then he wouldn't argue back. But it says he would smile to himself knowing how he really felt. Is that not an evil, sneaky thing to say? Like, he wouldn't argue back with her. He would but he would just smile to himself knowing, I know how I really feel about her. What? Like, so what my point is we see him on these videos and it seems like he's being, selfless, I should say, or I don't know if that's the right word, but basically it seems like he's helping out with things and just doing whatever he's told or whatever. Well, there's two things. First of all, what's on camera in front of, Facebook Live, we don't know, maybe that was just what they portrayed their life like, and maybe it really wasn't. Maybe they were different off the camera. I'm not sure about that. Or that is basically how they were, but Chris was just pretending, like he was really having these evil thoughts the whole time, and so selfish thoughts, and just, I mean, could that fall under kind of duper's delight? I know that's not how you would typically, define that, but it almost falls under that, because, like, for instance, one of the definitions of duper's delight is the pleasure of being able to manipulate someone, often made visible to others by flashing a smile at an inappropriate moment. Now, I know if they're arguing and he's just not arguing back, that wouldn't necessarily be what you would call manipulating someone, but in a way I feel like it could be, because now he's not necessarily manipulating her into doing something, or I don't know how to word this, but the fact that he's not arguing back, okay, and then he's getting the satisfaction about how he really feels about her. So he smiles to himself, but the fact that he's pretending to just go along with it and not argue back, so basically pretending that he's maybe agreeing with her by not arguing back, or just going along with what she said, could kind of be looked at as manipulation, because that's not how he really feels. So he's manipulating her to think that he's this guy that, he's just going along with it, he agrees. So I don't know, in a way, I know that's not a typical manipulation, but in a way I feel like it kind of is. I don't know, do you guys see that at all? And then the fact that he just smiles to himself, and just so evil, so evil. And another definition of duper's delight is the rush that they feel when they are conning someone who they feel is more stupid and can't see through their lies. So actually, think about that, he's smiling to himself and he's getting delight because he's thinking, she's so stupid, I'm lying, I don't really feel this way, I'm not, now he's not saying this out loud, but he's just thinking this to himself. She doesn't even know how I really think. So for him to think, she's not even realizing I know how I really feel, it's almost like for him thinking like, she's so stupid, she don't even realize it, she can't even tell that I'm, that I really feel this way about her, I'm just going along with her argument. So, and then he just smiles because he's like, haha, I know how I really feel. She's so stupid. She doesn't even know that I'm really feeling this way. She thinks I'm feeling, this way, and that I'm going along with it, and that, that it's all good, and that I agree with her, or whatever the argument is about. But, so it I feel like it's not the typical way, or I should say the typical context of when we might see the duper's delight. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's not like I have a ton of experience with this, but I don't know. It just reminds me of that with how he said that, and how it could be kind of taken like he's pulling one over on her because he's feeling a certain way and she doesn't know, because he thinks, she thinks he's going along with it, or that he thinks one way and he just smiles because he knows, oh, I know how I really feel about her. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? I don't know. I think it possibly could, in a way, be what that is. I know I'm rambling. I feel like I keep getting off subject. Okay, so Chris also says that Shania was very unsettled during that week leading up to the murders. Wonder if that was because you were trying to drug her, or you were drugging her. That could kind of make you feel a little unsettled. Or treating her like crap, not even acknowledging her pain that she was experiencing, not even acknowledging her when she was trying to talk to you, like she didn't even exist, like not even responding to her. You wouldn't even give her the not even when you use satisfaction, but you wouldn't even give her the respect to at least tell her what was going on. At least tell her a lie. You wouldn't even give her, I don't want to say decency because that wouldn't be decency, but I was going to say to even tell her a lie, but to just tell her something. Like, so you wouldn't even give her anything. So I know you didn't want to, tell her about the affair, but at least you could have said something. You wouldn't even tell her, like, give her any reason why you were being that way. Couldn't even just give her, you didn't have to necessarily tell her about the affair, which at least, of course, you should have, or eventually should have. But maybe, in North Carolina, you didn't want to, you're out visiting your parents, wait till you get home. Okay, I could understand that. But you couldn't even explain a little, or give her a little bit of how you were feeling. You didn't have to tell her about NK necessarily at the time, but at least you could have told her, gave her something to, to make her understand a little bit, and not make her think all these thoughts and just rack her brain, and could it be this, could it be that, could it be this. But we know that you loved watching her suffer. You loved watching her just go crazy trying to figure it out. And you were freaking drugging her. Like, what is going on? And then the fact that you couldn't even own up to your affair. Okay, I understand maybe don't tell her in North Carolina because you're with your family. But then you couldn't even own up to her when you got home. Like, what a coward. Like, come on, be a man. And I mean, I don't know if necessarily being a man would be, tell my wife I'm having an affair. But what I'm saying is the fact that you couldn't, okay, you made a mistake. You did something not right. But you couldn't even own up to it, to own up to it. Even, you could say, sorry, I know it was bad, but at least own up to what you did. You couldn't even admit it to her. You couldn't even admit that you were having an affair. Like, what? Oh, I'm such a coward. I can't own up to the affair, so I'll just have to kill her instead so I never have to tell her. What kind of reasoning is that? Don't play that. Oh, I was scared to tell her. I was emasculated. Poor me. Like, are you a man? I mean, I know it doesn't even have anything to do with being a man, but even a person, you can't even just own up to. I mean, it's something that was not right. You did something bad and evil, and the affair is just something not morally right. And I find it kind of interesting that she brings up Chris's grandmother, her mom's mom, or his mom's mom. She brings up how she's a German lady who was not affectionate but loved Chris and taught him many things about life. That he spent a lot of time with her, and that her and Cindy did not get along because she would tell her how to raise her children. So the grandmother, Cindy's mom, would tell her how to raise her children and was always negative. Does that sound like anybody? But I don't know. I'm not sure if they're trying to explain, some of Chris's traits and maybe why he was so introverted and non-affectionate or unaffectionate. For her to just randomly bring her up and saying how much time Chris spent with her and how basically and how much she loved Chris and how they spent so much time together and about how she taught him so many things about life. And then in the same sentence you talk about how she's not affectionate, how she's negative, how, well, her and Cindy don't get along, but so I don't know if that was just a way to kind of explain Chris's behavior, another way to point the finger somewhere else where, you know, Chris's non-affectionate, cold type behavior is a product of his environment. It's a product of, you know, his family, who he spent a lot of time with when he was a kid, who he learned things from, how he learned to interact with people and just social situations, and, you know, how, you know, you show affection or lack of. It could have taught him to be not affectionate, and some of the qualities that could have played into what he did could have came from his grandmother. I'm not saying like him murdering his family that his grandmother taught him, but I'm saying like just basically how to interact with people, how to talk to people, how to show people, I don't want to say that you love them, but, you know, there's different ways to show people you care about them. And it sounds like the grandmother had a very non-affectionate way of showing somebody that. So it could be kind of alluding to the fact that maybe that's why Chris was the way he was, and that could have played some kind of part into what he did. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if it has anything to do with that, but I don't know. To me, it could be another comment or thing that was pointing at somebody else, like taking the blame off of Chris and onto someone else. And I'm not saying blaming the grandma for the murder, but blaming like how he was brought up in the environment and, you know, what he learned and how he learned to interact could have played some kind of part in, you know, his personality. And then Cindy says how he was too perfect of a teenager to be true. Too perfect? I feel like she's, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and talk bad about her, because I know I feel bad that if on my other videos of talking bad about her, but it was more, I was trying to stick up for Shanann, and I wasn't trying to bash Cindy, but I was just trying to show or tell Cindy show her that this is the reason. Like, or I don't know if she's not understanding, but in the book it was like almost she was trying to say like, well, I don't understand, or why all this hate, but I was trying to explain that it's because of this, of how you're bashing Shanann. People don't like that. So I'm not trying to bash Cindy, but I'm just trying to give my opinion, I guess, on how I feel about some of the stuff she is saying or said. So I don't know. I just think with her going on and on about how perfect Chris was, I feel like it's a little much. I feel like it's a little dramatic or a little excessive or a little not far-fetched, but it's just a little exaggerated. So it talks about how Chris went to a Baptist church when he was growing up, which made him fear he would go to hell if he died while sinning. So I wonder if that plays some part in him finding God. Well, at least trying to find God, because I believe he probably wants to be able to find God and be a good boy or a good man or whatever, but I just don't think he can. I think he's incapable of truly being sorry. So he's just going through the actions, going through the motions of what it means to walk with God and, you know, be Christ-like, but I don't believe God is truly in his heart. I don't. Not that he's not trying, but something is seriously off with him. Something is off. And I feel like it's keeping him from truly having God in his heart. I really do. And he would fear that he would go to hell if he died while he was sinning. Okay? So basically, it sounds like when he was sinning, like he was so afraid that if he died at that moment that he would go to hell. Okay, so I wonder if that plays some part of him finding God, well, trying to find God. I just don't believe he has a good soul, and because I think that he is incapable of truly being sorry. I really do. And don't you have to truly be sorry for what you did to be able to be saved? Especially, committing murder. You have to really be sorry in your heart and have love in your heart and really be changed. And I just don't believe that he's able to. I don't believe he's capable of it. But I believe that his experience with this church growing up and his fear of basically dying while he was sinning and then going to hell, I believe this does play a part in him finding God when, he went to jail, he went to prison, of course. That fear probably came back and was like, whoa, if I die now, I'm going to hell. So he's making sure that he's trying to bring God back into his life and try to find God so he doesn't have to go to hell. So I believe that he's just kind of going through the actions, going through the motions of what it means to walk with God and be like Christ-like and follow the teachings of the Bible and just, be morally good. But I don't believe that God is truly in his heart. I really don't. I don't know why, I just don't. And I know I'm not, who am I to even say? And it's just my opinion. So, you guys, of course, have your own opinion. Wait, I don't mean it like, that sounds kind of mean. Have your own opinion. No, I don't mean it like that. But what I'm saying is, of course, I'm not, who am I? I'm not anybody really that knows, so I know everything. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, and I've never even met him. So, but I don't know why. This is just my opinion, but I just have this weird feeling that, not weird, I just have this feeling that I don't feel like that God is really in his heart. I don't feel like that he really found God and that he's really truly sorry for what he did. And like I said, it's not because that he doesn't want to be sorry. I don't feel like he's capable. I don't know. I really don't. Just something about him and just the information that I have about him, all the knowledge and all the letters now and just everything I've learned about him, just something. And all that, watching him in his interviews and hearing him in his second confession, his first confession, reading the book, reading the letters. I just don't feel like God is truly in his heart. I don't know why. Do you guys feel that way? So then, for me to not feel that, and then, he's saying how he had a demon inside of him, and then that night in bed when he got on his hands and knees and cried, and then God basically put his hand on him, and it released the demon. He took the demon out of him or whatever. But see, I don't believe he really found God. So if that's true that he has a demon inside of him, then I think it's still in him. But I don't believe that he has a demon, or I should say ever had, or still has a demon inside of him, in the sense of the demon controlling his actions, like in taking away his free choice. I believe that, of course, the devil is influencing him, because he's did some evil things. It has to be the influence of the devil, but I don't believe it's in the sense of where the devil's inside of him controlling him. And if for some reason I did believe that, I would have to believe that it was still in him, because I don't believe that he has God in his heart, that God is with him. I don't. And I hope, I don't know, I feel bad even saying that, but I just have this weird feeling that I just don't feel like he's good. I really don't. So like I was saying, I feel like that fear that he has inside of him, that he had when he was a little boy, of, dying when he was sinning and then going to hell, I feel like that's definitely the driving force of him, reading the Bible and trying to find his way to God. But I think it's only because of the fear of going to hell, and not that isn't a reason that a lot of people end up following God and reading the Bible and and letting God in their hearts, and yeah, that could be the reason why a lot of people initiate that. So I'm not judging or even or saying that that's wrong or bad, but what I'm saying is that you can't make somebody have a good heart. Like if they don't, you can't just make, I mean, he can't just have a good heart if he doesn't. I mean, I guess the only person that would have the power to do that would be God. Yeah, I agree that with you there, but I just, either he's just too far gone, and I know, I mean, even in the Bible, nobody's too far gone, but I don't know if, this is a question I have, okay? I might sound stupid here, but is it possible? Now I don't know a ton about the Bible. I'm still in the process of learning it, actually. Well, before I started this channel, I was really trying to get into it and try to learn it, and I would actually listen to the Bible every night when I would try to go to sleep, and you know, try to even listen to videos trying to explain the meanings of some of the stuff I didn't understand. But then, you know, I started this channel and it takes up so much time, so I've kind of been slacking on, you know, continuing my my learning of the Bible or whatever. But I need to at least put away some time every night to listen to it. But so I don't know a ton about it. I went to Catholic schools my whole life, but you know, when you're young and then when you're kind of forced into something and you're just not, it's almost like you got to find it on your own time. And so I don't know. I mean, I went from grade school all the way through high school. It was Catholic, but you know, when we would go through like the New Testament or Old Testament in high school and we'd study it, I didn't remember any of it because I just wasn't interested in it at the time. So I would just like study what I needed to learn just to pass the test, and it went over my head. I mean, not over my head, but it just, and I'd forget it, you know. I mean, there's certain things that are like ingrained in my brain because it was certain things that we went over like every year, or certain things that were just the common things that I do know, but I don't know a ton about the Bible. So I know there was some murderers in the Bible that, you know, ended up being redeemed, and, you know, basically their soul was saved, or I don't even know if I'm wording it right. And I think even Chris talks about that. But what I'm trying to ask here is, which I don't understand this, so maybe some of you guys that maybe understand this. So were those the murderers that were ended up being redeemed by God, and, you know, God forgave them, or I think, and then they went to heaven, right? So my question is, were they, how do I word this? Like, were they evil people where they didn't have love in their heart at all when they committed, you know, the murder, and then somehow God brought love into their hearts and like kind of changed them and made them good? Or was it that they were good? I mean, they did have love in their hearts. They just committed a bad act, and then they ended up being sorry for it, and they were truly sorry, and that was something that they were able to experience on their own. Like, God didn't make them be able to be sorry and like to bring love in their heart and to be able to, I know I keep saying love in your heart. I don't know how else to explain it. I hope I'm not annoying you guys, but I don't know how else to explain it. And I feel like that's the easiest way to kind of explain what I mean when I'm talking about that, or when I'm talking about you know, just being a good person, and, you know, and really loving people and being good-hearted, you know. So was it they came to those terms that they were good people, so they committed this act, you know, they killed somebody, but then they truly were sorry, and they were a good person, and they had love in their heart, and that was all came from them? Or was it that they were evil and God changed them? So God put love in their heart. God made them love, and God made them be good people. Does that make sense? I know this might be a stupid question, but I don't know the answer to this. So I feel like it will help my opinion or my thoughts on Chris, if he's able to be redeemed and be able to really truly change into a good person, and somehow be good-hearted and have love in his heart. Because if it's something that has to come within, that basically it has to already be there. So that's a good way to word it. The people in the Bible that end up being saved or whatever, is it that love and that goodness is already in them somewhere, and they do this evil thing, but they have that deep down or wherever they do have love in them and in their hearts, so then they truly feel bad for what they did. Or were they just pure evil and somehow God changed them? I don't know. I just think it'll help me understand if there's a possibility that Chris can, change, or he can somehow turn into somebody that's good-hearted and somehow be able to have love in his heart and God in his heart, or is it something that has to come within that he already had? So I don't know. People that know the Bible really good and know this stuff, maybe if you could answer it. And maybe I feel like I hope you guys don't think it's a stupid question, but I don't know. It just makes me wonder, because it would help me trying to understand if I feel like, or in my opinion, if I feel like that he. Sorry, I keep pointing to. There's this book right here. I don't know if you can see it on camera. I don't think you can. But I have his book, that Letters from Christopher. It's right here, and his face is right here. So I catch myself. I keep talking to him and pointing, putting my hand on him when I talk to him. I don't know why I'm doing that. Sorry, but it's almost like I feel like he's right here with me. So when I talk to him, I could be, talking to him. But so I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So that's why I'm trying to figure this out, because if that's the case, if it has to already be there, then I don't think that there's hope for him. I really don't think that he could be saved, because I don't feel like he truly feels bad, and he is not capable of remorse and empathy and, having love in his heart. But if it's something that God can, I shouldn't say can, because of course I know God can do anything, but if it's something God does for people, where he actually puts love in their heart and he gives them that ability if they're evil, then maybe. But is that something is in the Bible? Is that what's going on? Or is it just that they are good people and they just did a bad thing and then they truly feel sorry for it? Am I making sense? Okay, let me move on here. Oh, so it talks about how he had $25,000 worth of tools, and his parents sold for $3,000 after he went to jail. It's almost like they're saying, well, God, they got ripped off. I don't know what they're trying to say, but obviously I bet you the tools were used, and maybe they were really old, so, depending on how long and how used they were, by that time, they definitely probably weren't worth $25,000. Okay, this I don't like. I don't like this part. There's a part in the book where it says that Shanann says that everything happens for a reason. So then the author goes on to say, did this happen for a reason? She's referring to the murders. What? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Who says that? I just don't, that's not very nice at all. Are you guys following? Okay, so she talks about in the book how Shanann always basically must say that a lot, that everything happens for a reason, and then so the author asks, so did this happen for a reason? Referring to the murder. So saying basically, Shanann says everything happens for a reason, so this murder there must be a reason for it. I don't know. I just think that's awful to say. So then it says how Cindy blames herself for what happened, because she says her and Shanann didn't get along, so she blames herself. Maybe it was my fault, that Chris did this. But I have a hard time believing that she's really blaming herself, because in her book she can't even refrain from bashing Shanann. So if she was seriously blaming herself and oh my, feeling bad for it, she wouldn't keep bashing her. You wouldn't think. So I don't know if I believe that she is blaming herself for that. Because if she really felt really bad, then don't you think she would hold back from saying all those things about Shanann? I mean, I know not everybody gets along. Not everybody's going to like everybody. That's fine. If she didn't like Shanann, that's totally fine. Not everybody's going to like everybody. But I just wish she could have just refrained from just saying all this negative stuff about her. I mean, especially because she's not alive to defend herself. So at least just respect her now, you know, at least in death, respect her. And if you don't like her, then just don't say anything then. You know, you don't have to say nice things about her, but just don't say, you know, horrible things about her. So, and especially if she's saying that she's blaming herself for what happened, but then why would she keep on bashing her? Like, if you felt really bad about that, like, oh, I feel so bad, it's my fault, then why would she go on and keep bashing her publicly, I mean, say whatever you want in the privacy of your own home and to your family and, you know, whatever, but, like, publicly to bash her? I don't know. I don't want to keep, you know, trying to attack the Watts. I don't, because I feel bad. And of course they're hurting, and of course they're going through a hard time. I know. But all I'm asking is just quit just bashing Shanann, just quit bashing her. Can you please do that? And then I think everybody will be alright. I just don't think, you're supposed to respect the dead, you know, so she can't come and defend herself and tell her side, so just let it go. That's all. And I don't want to say everybody will be happy, but if you want to tell your story, I feel like there's a way to respectfully tell it without bashing Shanann. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I know a lot of other people are upset about it too. So maybe just, you know, if you want to tell Chris's story, you could just kind of focus just on Chris and Chris's life growing up. And, you know, just kind of stay neutral when you talk about Shanann. I'm just trying to give you advice because this is why people are upset with you guys. This is the main reason. So maybe just try to refrain from saying those things, and I think people will respect you then. And it also says that when Chris told Cindy that he was separating from Shanann on August 5th, that she told him that he better not be seeing someone outside of his marriage. Then the book also says that Cindy was used to having a lot of control in Chris's life. So, I mean, you would think that if she had a lot of control, which, I mean, I know we see that she did, but I wish she would have made sure, you know, about him, whoever he's seeing outside of his marriage. I wish she would have, you know, asked more questions or kind of made him, I don't know, feel bad about it if she was suspecting that. But see, we don't know if maybe he did tell her and she doesn't want to admit it, so she's acting like that she did tell him, oh, you can't be seeing anybody outside of marriage, and maybe she didn't even. I'm not gonna accuse you of lying about this. So let's say, okay, so I just wish all that control that you had over him, that you would have been able to, you know, say something to him a little bit more and make sure that he wasn't seeing somebody outside of his marriage. Well, I know you can't. You can't make sure of that, but I mean, maybe if you would have questioned him and just told him how wrong it was and just got on him about it, if you did have, you know, a lot of control, maybe it could have changed his plan. But no. I mean, well, let's not go there, because you can't blame yourself, and we don't want to put that blame on you because it wasn't your fault. So the book also talks about the excessive amounts of Thrive that Chris was consuming every day. Talking about how he never had less than 2 patches on him every day. He was drinking more than 1 shake. He took 2 tablets every morning. So basically it says that he took too much of this stuff, that he couldn't even sleep at night. He would only get a couple hours of sleep every night. So he was, you know, sleep deprived. He was taking this substance in excessive amounts, which was some kind of speed. Because just because it's legal doesn't mean it's not horrible for you, or it's not some kind of speed, you know. Obviously it kept him up. It made him be able to go days without sleeping, or I should say days where he'd only get a couple hours of sleep. So I mean, I do believe that, you know, an excessive amount of a substance mixed with lack of sleep could have an influence over you. I do believe it. But the thing that I'm having a hard time believing that this could be the reason you did this, because you said that you planned it for weeks. So there's no way that if it was just this lack of sleep and this, you know, abuse of this substance, that every day for 2 weeks you couldn't snap out of this and realize that, you know, it was a bad idea. I mean, something would have clicked. I don't feel like you would have been, you know, out of control with making this decision because you know, your lack of sleep and this taking too much of this. If you were contemplating it for a couple weeks and you still weren't able to change your mind or change your plan, that's why I'm having a little bit of trouble thinking that had anything to do with it. I mean, it could have had a little bit to do with it, but that was basically that if you weren't on that you wouldn't have done it anyway. I mean, I don't know. I know lack of sleep can have a big effect on somebody, but you were planning it for weeks, so that's just, I'm just having trouble. I'm just having trouble imagining that. But I do feel like bringing that up again, talking about, you know, lack of sleep and an excessive amount of Thrive, that it is throwing out another reason, it's giving another reason on what could have caused him to do this. Once again, making an excuse, taking the blame away from him and his evilness, and just saying, well, you know, it could be Thrive and lack of sleep. Trying to place the blame on other factors rather than within. So, and then also that goes hand in hand with trying to open up possibilities for an appeal. So, because think about it, lack of sleep mixed with speed is one of the common causes of psychosis. So do you know how many times, I mean, they say when people come in like a psychotic state in a hospital, that they'll give it a couple days, because after some sleep, usually it'll go away, because usually it's lack of sleep mixed with speed induced psychosis. So that's one of the most common causes of it. So I feel like that's one of the reasons that is added in the book. However, I don't think that was the case, because like I said, that psychosis is only temporary, okay? Because after you get some sleep and you're off the drug, which I know he kept taking Thrive, but I don't know. I think sometimes you did get some normal sleep, right? I think you had a couple weeks to, I don't know how I feel about that. So I want to know, did he go ever since? Okay, so when he started planning the murder, every night was he only getting 2 hours of sleep? Was it like a long-term thing? Like, was there ever any nights that he got like a regular amount of sleep, like anything more than, let's say, 5 hours? Or was it like every night it was no more than a couple hours? And and you know, for a couple weeks straight, that he just did that. I mean, it's definitely a possibility that it played a part. I would not say that it was the main ingredient. It probably was a part of the whole mixture of disaster. I mean, all these little things that together was just made this plan that was horrible. I think it was a piece to the puzzle, but it wasn't necessarily like a huge piece. I think it was definitely a piece. It definitely played a part, but I wouldn't say that without it that it wouldn't have happened. I don't know. What do you guys think? And I'm not saying, I hope people don't take this the wrong way, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Thrive or anything. But like anything in excess could be dangerous. It could have effects that a normal amount of wouldn't have. So I know there's a lot of people out there that are on Thrive that watch, that, you know, are following the Watts case. And I'm not saying that you guys are going to go commit a murder. And I'm not even saying, not even if a person that just took a normal amount of Thrive committed a murder and that had some kind of effect, doesn't mean that everybody that takes Thrive is going to commit a murder. But I'm not even saying a normal amount. They're saying that he took an excessive amount. So anything in excess could have different results. So please, you guys that are on Thrive, I'm not saying it's a bad product. I'm not saying it'll make you murder anybody. No, but I'm just saying, him taking excessive amounts of that mixed with lack of sleep could have played some part in his decision making. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it was the main reason why he did this. I'm just saying it's a little part of the puzzle, I feel like. You know, where it made him, his choices, his decision making were not in the best, just wasn't making the best choices or decisions. And it's not, I'm not saying it was just only because of that, but I think it affected some of his decisions. But no, I mean, it didn't make him evil. No, I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that, you know, made him a murderer, but I'm just saying that if he's already evil anyway, then that could have made his decisions, you know, different than, you know, it would have without it. Okay, so here's a paragraph bashing Shanann, and the end of the paragraph is actually, to me, in my opinion, it seems like it's victim blaming to me. I don't know. I mean, I feel like sometimes maybe I read too much into things. I'm not sure. I just like to try to dissect, you know. I don't know. I guess sometimes I might analyze things too much. I mean, but that's just how I've always been with everything. I don't know. I think maybe that's why I got into psychology. That's why I'm not going to say that's the only reason, but that was one of the reasons. I mean, there's many reasons that drew me to psychology. I think the biggest one is I love helping people. I love to try to figure out how I can make people better and fix people. And I don't know. I just always liked that. I always liked helping my friends and always just wanted to help and be able to figure out what it was that was the problem. But anyway, so this paragraph here, I feel like, is definitely bashing Shanann here. Okay, so it starts off by talking about the big expensive parties Shanann had and how appearances were everything to her. Okay, but this embarrassed Chris. It embarrassed him that she liked having big parties and that, you know, that her, you know, appearances were very important. It embarrassed him. So Chris knew his place during these parties, okay, which was upstairs entertaining the kids. And this is when Chris kind of became, well, they used the word background noise, but, you know, kind of in the background where he just, it's almost like not important, didn't matter. He just kind of hanging in the background, making sure everything ran okay, just taking care of anything that, you know, that she needed. He was just kind of in the background. And so they could, you know, term it background noise. But it goes on. So it goes on to talk about how it's harmful when this happens to someone. So it says when people are treated basically like Chris was treated by Shanann, that soon something will have to change, okay? Because it's just, something's gonna happen, because it's just, Some people cannot be treated this way, okay? So, what the heck? Is that a threat? I mean, I don't understand. So, is it saying, like, wow, like, something had to have happened. It was bound to happen. Something had to change because this is just so harmful to people. Like, to be treated like Chris was treated by Shanann because, you know, appearances were important to her, and she liked to throw these big parties. That was so harmful to Chris. I mean, these parties just, whew, I mean, something, he had to murder them. I mean, he had to. I mean, something had to change. These parties were just too much. So it was just too much. It was too harmful to him that he had to just kill them. That he had to. I mean, I don't understand it. It's kind of almost referring like, well, something had to change. Like she's trying to say eventually that it's going to lead to murder because something just had to change, right? And like being in the background is just too much for someone to take. Something just had to change, and it could be as dramatic as murder, basically, because it was too harmful. He couldn't take it. A person just wouldn't be able to take that. I mean, it's just too much. So it could lead to murder. I mean, is that what it's trying to say? But a couple sentences before this paragraph, it says that Chris preferred to be in the background and didn't mind it. So I'm confused. If this was just so harmful and so affected him so much that something had to change and it led to murder, but then it says that he preferred to be in the background and didn't mind it. So I'm so confused. Did he mind it or didn't he? I mean, you can't say, I feel like it'll say whatever to fit what they're trying to say. So if it goes along with, whatever their point they're trying to make, if it fits better that he didn't mind it, they'll say he didn't mind it. And if they're trying to make a point where it needs to be believed that he didn't mind it, then they'll change it to that. Because I mean, I only read the first 5 chapters, but I feel like it's already went back and forth where he didn't mind it and he did mind it. He was used to it. That's all he ever knew. And then, whoa, it just built up and built up and built up until he's going to explode. And then how harmful it is, and things have to change, and look what it led to. So, which is it? So, if, it's saying, not only does it say that he doesn't mind it, but it says a couple sentences before this paragraph that he preferred it. He preferred to be in the background. So if he preferred it, why would it be so harmful? And why would anything need to change? Because that's what he preferred. It sounds like he wouldn't even have wanted it any other way. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Another thing, okay, just a little point I want to point out real quick. So it talks about how Chris and NK, they made plans to get together when Chris and Shanann got back from San Diego. So, and we all know that. She said it, he said it in his other interview. So, but my question is, if NK really thought him and Shanann were really separating, like she claims, then why were they on a trip together? I mean, why, in her mind, why would she think that they were on a trip together if he was leaving her? Why would he even go? Okay, now, oh my God, are you kidding me? Okay, so the book gives this quote, right? It says, the quote is, being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. And then goes on to say that Chris's deep love for NK may have given him the courage he needed to get rid of his family or to live the life he felt he deserved. I'm sorry, but when I think of courage you could get because you love someone so much, I think of something different than murdering your family. It's supposed to be something inspirational. Like, oh, she gave me the courage to finish school, or she gave me the courage to, just do something good and something good with your life. Not murder your family. Love's supposed to be, it's love. It should give you like a good, positive courage, right? Or I don't know. I just don't know. I can't relate that quote to when talking about courage, that it could be courage to murder your family. I mean, why would you use the word courage for murdering? Like, he loved her so much. He loved NK so much that it gave him the courage to murder his family. Are you kidding me? What? So, in the second part of that, it says that his love for NK may have given him the courage to live the life that he felt he deserved. So, Chris, you felt like you deserved to murder your whole family and start fresh because you're Chris Watts, right? And of course, you deserve it. You should be able to wipe your slate clean and start fresh with NK. Like, what? Like, the life that you felt you deserved? What about the life that your family deserved to live? Not to be taken from them too soon? I mean, what? That your love for NK was just so sweet. It was just a once in a lifetime kind of love. A love only dreams are made of. A love you only hear about in movies. Yeah, horror movies. What the heck? You know, I guess you think you deserve to live and your family didn't deserve to live because your love for NK was just so special that you finally had courage to get rid of your family because you're the only one that deserved to live out of your family and they didn't deserve to live. So how is your life so much more important than your beautiful wife, Shanann? Like, how is your life that much more important that you deserve to live but they didn't? So your 3 children, how is it more important than your whole family? Bella, Celeste, Nico. You had the courage to get rid of them and live the life you deserve. I mean, do you hear how evil that sounds? How selfish that sounds? Like, it's all about you. Like, I know your whole point is because you're supposed, this book, you want to come clean with everything, so you want to, tell the truth on how you felt. And I know, and I'm glad, I still don't know if I believe that it's the truth. I don't. I believe there's a lot of excuses. To take the blame away from you and to blame other people, and blame other things. But I know I've gotten some comments about, well, how can you sit there and criticize him when you guys wanted the truth? Well, number one, I don't believe it's the truth still. But number two, it don't matter if it's the truth. I'm criticizing you for how evil you are. So if this is the truth, then I'm just in disbelief on some of the stuff you're saying and how you feel, I just can't believe that. It's just like, the more I read, the more evil that you are to me. So I'm sorry. Anybody that's sitting here saying this stuff, I don't know, I'm just giving my opinion on how I feel about it, and I just feel like, some things I feel like aren't truthful, but the stuff that is truthful is, stuff how you feel. So I do believe that you felt that, your love for NK gave you the courage to live the life you felt like you deserved, and that you needed it gave you the courage to get rid of your family. But it still doesn't make it right. Just because you're telling us doesn't make it right. Oh, I'm being honest about how I feel. That doesn't make it right how you feel. So it's still, I just can't even believe that you're saying this and that you're so selfish. So I just can't believe. I feel like every time it's like, no, it can't get any worse. And then I read something else that you said. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too critical on you. I don't know, but to me it's just horrible. Some of the stuff you say is just horrible, and it's almost like it's meant to be like you think it's. And see, that's the whole point. You think it's fine. You think what you're saying is no big deal. Like it's that, you know, it's not that bad what you're saying, because there's something not right with you. So for you to just say these things like it's not a big deal, like, yeah, this is how I felt, you know, it's normal. I felt like this, gave me the courage. The fact that you think this is kind of normal as far as the way you're feeling about everything, it shows me a lot. It shows me that there is something not right. There's something just off. It's just not connecting, or I don't know what it is, but just something is off up there. And, you know, I know you think, you know, you're sharing this and, oh yeah, this is a normal way to feel about this, you know? No, it's not. It is, wow, like to me it's just so narcissist, so selfish, so evil. And the fact that you don't even realize that is kind of scary. But it is, I mean, it makes sense, I guess, because, I mean, look what you did. So it makes sense that there's just something not right with you, and, you know, you're saying all this stuff like it's, you know, yeah, it gave me the courage, and you're not even, and I feel like you're being honest when you're saying this stuff about, you know, NK and, you know, it giving you the courage to get rid of your family. Yeah, I feel like you felt that way, but for you to just say that like it's not a big deal, it's, well, it's normal, you know, gave me the courage to do it, and, you know, I felt like it gave me the courage to, you know, live the life I deserved. And you don't realize how evil that is, like feeling that way is just, it's the life I deserve. Like, your life is just so important that you deserve to start over. You deserve to start over by just getting rid of your family. Because you and NK's love is just nothing like it. It's just so special that it's worth your kid's life, your whole family's life, I should say. It's just, wow, that's just some kind of love. I mean, that's not love at all. It really isn't. And that's, for you to think that's love is. And then you go on to say, we've heard this many a times, that you say you never thought that there was anything wrong with your marriage until you met NK, right? What, I feel like you're very contradictory about this, okay? You contradict yourself so many times when you say this, because you say this a lot, how, you know, you never knew that there was anything wrong with the marriage until you met NK. But then you also say this a lot. You talk about how bad it was with Shanann, and how, you know, she emasculated you and she bossed you around, and it was just building up, but yet you say multiple times that you didn't even know it was bad until you met NK. So if this was driving you nuts and it was building up and building up, then you would have known before you met NK, okay? So if it was that bad that made you just explode or implode or whatever, however you say it, then you would have realized it before NK. It wouldn't have taken NK to make you realize it, because it wouldn't have anything to do with NK, but it has everything to do with Shanann making you feel a certain way and treating you so bad, right? That it was just building up and building up, and so that was, you're saying that was building up before NK, you know, for her treating you bad for how many years, that was building up, so that had to be before NK. So for you to say you didn't realize that until you met NK, that doesn't even make sense. So this was building up, and it was that bad that you know, you're about ready to explode, but you didn't even realize it was building up until you met NK. So how bad could it really have been then? You know? Okay, so the book also points out that NK made you feel guilty for the fact that you were feeling guilty. So basically, which I don't believe you were feeling guilty in the sense of like an emotion, like a feeling. I believe you were feeling guilty in the sense of you knew on the surface, you knew that wasn't right what you were doing, and you knew that if anybody found out, they would not be happy. I mean, they would talk about you. They wouldn't. It would look bad. People would not think good thoughts of you, and you know, what would they think of you? Oh my gosh! But it wasn't. I don't believe you have that capability to actually really feel guilty. I just feel like it was just, you knew it was wrong. You knew if anybody found out that it would be bad, and what would they think of you? Oh my gosh. So you were feeling bad about people finding out this and thinking bad about you. I don't believe it had anything to do with you feeling, like as an emotion, like feeling bad. I really don't. So NK, I guess you're saying, made you feel bad for the fact that you were feeling bad about, you know, basically having an affair with NK, because you were married to Shanann, and you know, you were ignoring her calls, and you were, you know, feeling bad about that. So NK, and you made NK aware, like, you know, remember you had said you had on July 4th, you had to go home and make sure you were home when she called, and so you know, you made her aware of it at least a few times that you were feeling guilty about that. So NK started making you feel bad about feeling that way. And it even says, like, when you thought about your family, she made you feel bad about even thinking about your family. You know, so, and even your kids, it seems like. At least that's what it seems like you're saying. And then you say that her last desperate attempt to win you over was telling you that she wanted to give you a son. And this was when the idea to get rid of your family started forming in your brain there, forming in your mind, was after she said that. At least this is what you're saying, that after she said she wanted to give you a son, it's when you started thinking about getting rid of him. And then it goes on to say you didn't want to, though, but you couldn't fight those feelings. So once again, that's plays into that appeal that I feel like you guys are working towards. The fact that you didn't want to do what you did, but you couldn't fight those feelings. And like I said, I read in one of my past videos about how one of the main things of the insanity defense is basically not being able to fight the urges. So it's basically you don't have free choice. Like your choices are not yours. You can't fight the urges. So that's one of the things that is important to be able to win the insanity defense. And I think even in the words of the definition is that incapable of fighting the urges. So with you saying that you couldn't fight them, it's like you're trying to say you're incapable of fighting the urges, okay? But like I said, I'm not saying that you would win the appeal at all, but I'm just saying there's an intention in this book that you really can't deny, everybody. I feel like now that everybody has the book and is reading it, do you guys kind of see what I was talking about before now? It's trying to hint at the whole insanity, possession. Now remember, I'm not saying insanity and possession are the same thing, but when it comes to like the legal aspect, they could be kind of looked at as the same thing. As far as, you know, you're incapable of fighting the urges, like you don't have any choice, like your free choice is basically taken away because either you're insane, which, you know, you're just delusional, or you're just not able to, you're not in touch with reality. You know, there's different definitions and parts of the insanity, but the fact that something else made you do it out of your control. And then the possession, same difference. If there's a demon inside you, it's making you do something that you have no control over. The insanity is it's making you do something that you just have no control. You can't fight it. It's out of your hands. And it kind of just boils down to beliefs, basically. And, you know, for legal purposes and from like a medical, psychological standpoint, it can be looked at as insanity. I mean, possession can be, because the symptoms are the same, if that makes sense. At least the important symptoms that you need for the insanity defense. So as far as the dark things that he was talking about, after reading everybody's comments, it made me kind of lean more towards like a satanic thing or maybe some witchcraft, which, you know, any power outside of God is looked at as, you know, Satan, some kind of evil force or evil power. So, and I'm just saying this depending on your beliefs. Now, Chris believes in the Bible, you know, that's his belief. So he would believe that anything, any power outside of God's power is power coming from the devil, Satan himself. So I don't know if, you know, they're talking about some kind of satanic rituals that her friends were into, some kind of spells. Maybe she put a spell on them, which again would take away Chris's free will as far as if there was a spell put on him. Now, like I said, I'm not saying I believe this, but if they're trying to make us like wonder, oh, dark things, and oh, maybe it's satanic stuff, satanic rituals, you know, some kind of witchcraft, some kind of spells, then it makes people think, well, if NK put a spell on him, or if they were practicing some kind of satanic ritual type stuff, then he was under some kind of control of a demon. So either under control of a spell or demon. That would make whatever he did not his own choice, not his choice at all. So I'm not saying that I believe this, but I'm saying I believe that that's what they want the reader to think. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I know, you know, it's come out that she was into crystals and, you know, the power that some of the crystals have. So I don't personally think like NK, even if she's into crystals and, you know, she believes they have these powers because each crystal has like a different power. I have a lot of crystals. I used to love crystals. When I lived in Colorado, I would go crystal hunting in the mountains. I wasn't very good at it. I just kind of, I love crystals, and I was into crystals, and, you know, certain things have healing powers and stuff, but I don't, so what I'm trying to say is I don't think if it's some kind of, crystal thing that, you know, he was talking about and the powers that she's getting from crystals, or maybe some spells, or, you know, any kind of witchcraft type thing, or even satanic rituals. I don't know. But, okay, I'm talking about a couple different things. So, if it is just crystals, I personally feel like if she's into the whole crystal thing, because like I said, I was into crystals, and I had a lot of friends that were so into it. I had a friend, actually, that was so into crystals that every time he got in my car, he had to put these crystals up on my dashboard because they had to protect the car. But they don't believe that what they're doing is satanic. You know what I'm saying? So they're not thinking like, I'm not even saying this is for sure what NK is doing, but if she is into the crystals and the power and like the different powers that, you know, they have, and that's what Chris is referring to as dark things, I don't believe that NK is using these crystals as like some kind of satanic ritual type thing. I don't believe that she's like thinking when she's when she has these crystals and she, you know, thinks they each have their own type power type thing and energy and stuff. I don't think she believes that it's satanic. I doubt she's thinking, oh, this is satanic stuff. But when you get into the Bible, and I don't want to say obviously, but I don't think that she was into the Bible, but now Chris is. So when you get into the Bible, you learn that any power outside of God is coming from the devil. Like if there's like, you know, any spells or magic or these powers from crystals, anything outside of God's power is coming from the devil, right? So, you know, Chris is now he's into the Bible, so he's probably aware, you know, learning this. But back when he was hanging out with NK, he probably didn't think it was anything satanic, and I don't think she even probably still to this day doesn't, because if she's not into the Bible and religious and thinks like that, because everybody has different beliefs, and she's not thinking that these powers are coming from the devil. She just thinks they're coming from Earth. You know, a lot of the hippie type people. Like I said, I used to be a hippie with my dreadlocks, and had friends that were really into crystals and stuff. But it's more like a Earth thing, you know, like a connection to the Earth. So I didn't believe that, and none of my friends believed that it was like some kind of satanic power at all. We always thought of it as a positive power and a good thing, and there's a lot of healing qualities to it and protection and stuff. But, you know, back then, before I started trying to learn the Bible and realized, you know, maybe where these powers were coming from, I didn't think it. I thought it was a positive thing. So I'm thinking she's not doing this stuff and you know, being all into these crystals, thinking that she's getting power from Satan or doing any satanic rituals or that it's anything negative. Now, don't worry, I'm not sticking up for NK or saying that, you know, some of the stuff she did was okay, or saying, you know, I don't know. All I'm saying is, if it is the crystals, I don't think her intention, still to this day, probably isn't, or I shouldn't say her intention, but I don't think when she's doing it, she is thinking that it's some kind of satanic thing. I really don't. I think she's just, you know, thinking how I thought when I was into crystals and how my friends did, that they have some kind of healing powers and there's protection powers and, you know, the connection to the earth, and I don't know, they're so pretty too. And so I don't think that it's necessarily that she even realizes where the power is coming from. And I know all you guys have different beliefs, so I don't want to say that it's for sure coming from, because I know I believe in the Bible and I believe in that, you know, I'm still learning about the Bible. I don't know all the teachings, but I know a lot of you, I'm sure, well, I don't want to say I know a lot of you, but I can't assume all of you guys are into the Bible, and that's okay. Everybody has different beliefs. So all I'm trying to say is, whatever you believe, that's fine, but I just don't think that NK, you know, getting into these crystals is into these crystals thinking that this power is some kind of satanic thing. I don't think that at all. I think she thinks it's coming from the earth, and it's, you know, it's just for most part, like a positive powers, you know. And I just know that from my experiences with, you know, me being into crystals. My sister was into crystals. My friends were, you know, and we didn't think we were, you know, getting power from Satan. I mean, we thought it was, you know, a good thing, you know, a connection to the earth, and, you know. But like I said, now my beliefs are different, but it doesn't mean not everybody finds the Bible. Not everybody believes that. So I don't think that's her intention. That's all I'm trying to say. Like, her being into crystals, I don't believe that she thinks of it as being a satanic thing. That's just my opinion, though. Maybe she does. Maybe she, you know, does realize it. But in my opinion, I would say probably not. Because, you know, especially from my experience, and I know that just because it's my experience doesn't mean it's hers, but I'm just saying, from all the friends I hung out with that were into it, and me, I had no idea. And I just don't believe that she does either, you know, unless if she was into the Bible and she had certain beliefs that, you know, that Chris does and that I do, and that, you know, I think, you know, back probably when he was with NK, he probably didn't even think otherwise until now he's into the Bible, and now he's probably realizing, shoot, that power's coming from something evil rather than something good. But I honestly don't think that NK is aware of that. So, but that's just my opinion. And I don't even know if that's what he's talking about. But if he is, you know, maybe it could be that. Or maybe she could be into satanic rituals and she is doing something like that. Who knows? I mean, maybe it has something to do with, like, some sexual thing. We know, like, just from her Google searches, that she was into some, you know, kind of, I don't want to say satanic. I don't know. Who knows what sexual thing she was into. But the fact that some of her Google searches which she looked up. Who knows what else that she was into in the bedroom? Who knows? As far as drugs, I don't know. I'm not sure. I know people brought up a good point that they were so in shape and so concerned about eating clean and just so healthy as far as, working out, and I don't know that most drug addicts aren't that healthy. Now, I think if you develop a pretty bad addiction, and I think at first they could be healthy, but if it's years of using and it's very excessive, or depending on what drug it is, then they're probably right. I mean, it would be hard to stay healthy. But like I said, if they just started, or if it was just something that they haven't been doing for years, or depending on what drug it was, it could be a possibility. Maybe they didn't do it every day. Maybe they just did it on weekends, which they could probably still be healthy and do it recreationally just on weekends. So there's different factors that could come into play here. So I don't know about the drugs. And maybe another thing I have down here is like maybe some kind of witchcraft or some kind of spells that she was doing. Maybe she put a spell on him, or maybe she didn't, but that's what he wants us to think. He wants us to, think all this stuff. Oh, maybe she put a spell. Maybe she did that, for his appeal. Or maybe he opened up this kind of talking to get people's ideas, and then so his next confession, he'll know what to say. Maybe for his appeal, to give him some ideas. And maybe he's gonna say spells, and then hey, that'll go along perfectly with him having no control and him being able to appeal because of insanity. Not insanity, it wouldn't be necessarily insanity, but it'd be that lack of, control. Like he didn't do it. The spell, he was under some kind of spell. When, like I said, usually a psychiatrist or legally, it would just be viewed as insanity, depending on your beliefs. But you saying like you're under some kind of spell, they're just going to look at you like you're insane, rather than as far as legally, they have to look at it like that. They can't just say that you're under a spell, because it's just, I don't know, it's not what they would say. And like psychologically, I guess it depends on how open-minded the psychiatrist is, but typically, like by the book, they wouldn't say, okay, you're under a spell, or okay, you're possessed. It would be some kind of disorder that had those same symptoms, okay?